flight, there's the ad. In the malls, right here, this one I think is right here in this mall, where I can have brand messages and movement in the middle. Subways, the restaurants, coffee networks in the airports. In Carrefour and Walmart, they have screens at the checkout. I'm sure you guys have all seen these screens and have been maybe even influenced to buy something on these screens. So they're really persuasive and ubiquitous in the marketplace. But it's still less than 2% even here, penetration of screens. Some of the brands that are participating on these screens, you recognize a lot of these brands, I'm sure. These are companies that are buying ads on these networks. Now, interestingly enough, I know, some agencies are very risk adverse to, trying this as a new media, but as Mr. Osborne said, that brands are trying different and new mediums to see what works. And it's an opportunity to take that money and use it for these ad networks and bring back results. Just very quickly, just a quick, kind of a high-level study looking at ad spaces in shopping malls, 1,400 screens, 110 shopping malls. The audience, of course, is women, teenage girls. They have to deal really with the mission shopper who's going to go in, buy the blue shirt and exit. So they're trying to grab that attention. The browser, who's a little more casual, and of course, us guys waiting. So they put these screens in various locations in the concourse and in the food courts. Now, they do a couple of things which I think is interesting. This example, and I have, there's a website you can go to see these examples live on video called fifthscreen.info. But the mall cop, for instance, he's standing there still, no movement, and then he goes to his mic, he goes, "Hey, can you get me something over at the food court? I'm stuck here," and then he goes back to still. So it's kind of startling things that happen. Those are unique ways to use the medium. AdSpace also does like top 10 things that are in the marketplace that would be interesting. So relevant content mixed with that advertising. And the advertisers here are movies, telecom, Sprint, Vodafone, or Verizon. Those kind of ads work very well. Very highly successful. And again, they keep the brand name up with movement in the middle, usually, on these type of screens, because you have this combination of audience that you're trying to get. You want to catch with motion, yet when they glance at it, you want to see the brand or the call to action. So, some of the advantages. Mindset. Very, very important. How many of us would love to have somebody sitting at home with the mindset for my brand? It's impossible. Not impossible, but let's say improbable. Here, the mindset is already predetermined. As I said earlier, if you're in the hospital, doctor's office, I have a mindset. If I'm in the elevator, I'm on my way to my office or I'm on my way home. And I think that because they're out of home, that mindset changes from a shopper to somebody who has dwell time or somebody who's on the go. And again, they're where we shop. They're where we eat. They're where we learn. They're where we work. They're where we play. They're at the gym. They're at the hotel. So these screens will be huge influence and impact wherever we are in the marketplace. And we're spending a lot more time in the marketplace and outdoors and activities than we do in the home. So content matches the consumer's expectations. So when I see these screens, in this marketplace, in Brazil, it's a little different. In the U.S., they don't really expect to see TV, the soccer game, my soap opera, that kind of thing. I think there's a little bit of lag here in Brazil where in the beginning they expected to see my soap opera. or my soccer game. But there's clips that can be had in there that can grab that attention. And there's a project I know that one of the networks has done in the subway, for instance, where it's an art project, which they're reaching out and they're connecting with and creating an experience with that rider on the subway. And it's art projects that are within Sao Paulo. Very interesting ways that you can reach people and have them notice your brand. Non-interruptive. I love that part about it. I don't have to sit through the commercial. It is the commercial. And consumers love it because they're in the right mindset. And so it's really a breakthrough in the sense of reaching that consumer in the right mindset. And then once you know that type of network and the mindset, it's really an easy way to create the right content that is very relevant. And that's what's unique because it's very, very narrowcast. Another huge advantage is day parts. So if I'm on the way to work, I have coffee, I have things that may be different, more morning-oriented as opposed to lunchtime or as opposed to going home. I can change that content dynamically. I can change my ad dynamically. I can have several versions of my ad for the same brand, depending on what time of day it is. And these are targeted by day parts, just as you would in television. And the other thing I think is that when you look at the audience, again, you know who's in front of your screen. And it makes it very relevant again. I don't think that there's any other media that can reach a targeted mindset such as this. This is the first time, I think, in any media that we reach such a mindset. And very, very targeted. Something I think is really interesting when you look at all the screens, there's such things, transmedia. What is that? That has to do with integrating these messages across the platforms. And because now we have 5 screens. So how do I create content that will play on all my screens? Well, one of the things that has happened within some of the agencies in the U.S. and production houses is that they take and step way back, break down the silos within the company, and say, okay, here's my television group, here's my magazine group, here's my, my internet group, but now creating content in pieces, bits and pieces, and creating those assets. So if I'm going to do a commercial on this chair, I may shoot it with people in it, I may shoot a 3D model of it, I may get some close-ups of the wood, I may get the color combination, and I have all these assets that then spread throughout the production. I can go to TV, I can go to PC, I can go to the 5th screen, and if I'm lucky, I get to the mobile. So that is, I think, a very, very huge change in the way we look at creating media for these screens. And that will take a while. But once you get there, the cost effectiveness of it is phenomenal. And that's what will drive it, is the cost of production. When you look at these screens, I think that the 5th screen, it certainly is its own media, but it uses pieces of each. Uses a little bit of video from television, uses a little bit of PC. Flash is a very big creation tool for the 5th screen. And so I think that the tools are there before us. It's just how we approach it. And I think linking those together in the marketplace, not only when we create the media, but also when we create the campaign. Because we need to reach a broad scale through the media with the brands. So the campaigns, when we start thinking about our campaigns and doing our campaigns, and I know some agencies have embraced this. A lot of when Mr. Osborne talked about the digital core. This is at the digital core. This is part of the campaign, so it can go cross-platform across everything. And I think these are things that we really, really embrace. And as time goes on, it won't be a second thought. It'll be the first thought. So where are we going? Interesting, very interesting things are happening in some of this technology side of it. I will be able to, within 5 years, I will be able to see volumetric 3D. Now, volumetric 3D is not with the glasses, shutter glasses, or any glasses for that matter, or it's not what some are looking at 3D without glasses, because you have to stand in one spot and, oh, there it's 3D. Now, this is something where the image comes off in a holographic way, 6 to 7 inches off the screen. They've already done some examples of this where they shot a basketball game, put it on the table in a bar, and you can see these guys walking around in 3D. You can pass your hand through them and that kind of thing. So very, very interesting. Within 5 years, we will see this. The power to run these types of systems, a little too high right now, but getting there. But the volumetric 3D is something that's very interesting. The other thing that I think will affect this, especially digital out of home and cause that engagement, is this gestural platform. So we have all these screens. I have 5 screens to really work with. So how do I link that media together? So what's happening is if you have a bit of an operating system on each screen, I have on my TV, my PC, on my mobile, on the digital signage, and whatever other screens might be next, I can then grab that content, throw it in my pocket, put it in my pocket, gesturally, go home, take it out, throw it on my home screen, and see that content. That's the kind of vision that will make media more integrated into our part of our lives. Now, as a brand, how do I become part of that picture? Because it's coming, and it's phenomenal. Seen this in action. The gestural stuff is amazing. The 3D stuff is phenomenal. And I think these are areas that as we look to the future and we see how these screens will all get linked together, we then begin to see how that cross-platform becomes a reality. Because I am creating pieces of content that may be automatically aggregated into a more relevant and more personalized message for me. So when you get to the type of audience, the type of person, etc., assembling that content on the fly to create brand messages is going to be the next thing we're going to see. Just phenomenal stuff that's going to happen in the future around that. My presentation is going to be a little shorter today. I really want to leave you with this, because I think that when we look at where we're going and what we're doing, media is about advertising. That's why it exists. I like to think it's entertainment. I was a director for many years. But it's really the next confluence where I can buy anything, anytime, anywhere. So when I'm in the marketplace, I see something. Boom. Pull that to my screen. Boom. Okay, it's coming to the house. I'll see it then. That's the kind of impact this media can have across all channels of media. It's no longer, do I need to go to the store? And I don't believe that it's the only way, because we've been going to the marketplace for years, thousands of years. And we'll always have that social interaction. But I do believe that if I want it here and now, I can buy it. And that's it. I leave you with that. Thank you very much.